Today, we are covering the different paddle shapes offered by Selkirk, the Invicta, the Epic, S2, Tour, and to some extent the shapes that can be found in the SLK line, which are the XL and Max shapes. It's common to hear people say, I play with the Selkirk Invicta paddle. However, technically speaking, this statement is not entirely correct. What they really mean is that they are playing with either an amped or Vanguard 2.0 paddle in the Invicta shape or another shape like the Epic, S2, etc. Selkirk's main brand currently offers only 4 types of paddles: the Amp, the Vanguard 2.0, the Power Air, and the Lux Control Air, excluding the SLK and Selkirk Labs sub-brands. However, they offer these paddles in various shapes that cater to the different playing styles and needs of players, each with its own pros and cons. I like to first categorize these shapes into 2 different families: standard and elongated. The standard family currently has 3 members, the S2 and the Epic, which can be found in the Selkirk main brand, and the Max, which can be found in the SLK brand. The standard shape is typically defined by a length of less than 16 inches and a width of 8 inches. They typically have a more square shape and offer larger sweet spots and better speed and maneuverability when you find yourself in fast hand exchanges at the no volley zone. The S2 and the Epic shared the same length of 15.75 inches and widths of 8 inches. The only difference between the two is the handle length. The S2 comes in at 4.5 inches and the Epic comes in at 5.25 inches. The Max shape is 16 inches in length and 7.85 inches in width. All 3 of these paddles are very forgiving and offer an amazing sweet spot. The shorter length allows for players to whip the paddle back and forth quickly since it requires less leverage and therefore less force to move through the air. The Epic shape is a best all-around paddle, ideal for first-time buyers and tennis players wanting to improve their soft game. Next up, the S2 has the largest sweet spot with more consistency, ideal for dedicated pickleball players and table tennis players. Lastly, we have the Max. Much like the Epic, it's a great all-core paddle that is slightly longer. If you want more hitting surface, I would go with the S2. However, if you favor a two-handed backhand, then the Epic or Max shapes may be better options. All right, next up we have the Elongated family. The Elongated family currently has 3 members: the Invicta, the Tour, and the XL. The elongated shape is defined by, you guessed it, being elongated. All these paddles come in at a length of 16.5 inches and a width of 7.375 inches. These elongated paddles trade speed and forgiveness for reach and power. The main difference between the elongated family is essentially the length of the handle and some minor differences in the shape of the paddle face. With the Invicta, you have a handle length of 5.25 inches and a pretty standard shaped paddle face, best for transitioning tennis players and aggressive players who want extra reach, spin, and power. This is probably one of our most popular and versatile shapes for intermediate to advanced players. This paddle maximizes reach without sacrificing too much in terms of sweet spot, speed, and forgiveness. Next, we have the Tour. Now, the Tour is a specialty shape with a slightly smaller hitting surface and the longest handle measuring in at 5.75 inches. Much like the Invicta, it's ideal for more advanced, aggressive players with two-handed backhands. Last but not least is the XL shape, found in the SLK line with a grip of 5.75 inches as well. It's pretty similar to the Tour shape, but has a more square paddle face and a thinner taper at the throat to make it even more comfortable for two-handed users. There you have it, all of the paddle shapes explained. It is important to note that you can find all of Selkirk's current series of paddles, which are the Amp, the Vanguard 2.0, the Power Air, and the Lux Control Air, in the Epic, S2, and Invicta shapes, which I like to call the primary shapes and can just about cover 90 to 95% of most players' needs. The Max and XL shapes in the SLK line should also work for the vast majority of players as well. Whatever your needs are as a player, Selkirk has a paddle for you.